I love the John Wick movies, so the idea of watching a project coming from the same writer, distinct in its own way, but similar, I'd say, in the genre feel, it's promising enough. I mean, he's served, I believe, I forget the name of the writer, Derek Kolstad. He's served as writer, I believe, on the first 3 movies, as well as the subsequently coming 2, including Chapter 4, which I'm really looking forward to. But I love those films. He's also worked on some other projects wherever I've consulted them or I've seen them in full. Let's say, for example, for projects I've personally witnessed in their full capacity, the Marvel Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, which I know not everybody likes it. I did from a writing perspective, and I thought the action was well done too. Even though it's interesting, I've tried rewatching those shows, the Marvel stuff, and I can't jump back into that one for some weird reason. But on a first introduction with it, I quite liked the program, especially from a writing perspective. I thought the character dynamics and the action scenes, there was a lot to say in regards to credit to that show. I thought, at least in some of its filmmaking capacities and maybe what was happening behind the scenes. Maybe it wasn't necessarily a perfect show. No project is. Some come close to perfect. But I had a generally good time with that, and I found the writing to be very admirable. And I also say that in respect to maybe other projects I've considered or covered at this point. The Die Hard series on Roku. I've not watched it yet, even though I'm a big Kevin Hart fan. John Travolta's also in the series. I like him. That one looked good. And again, I would believe it based on Derek Kolstad's attributions and my familiarity of his work through the John Wick movies. So nobody, on that promise alone, I'm like, I'm game. I don't care how the film's going to be. Now, admittedly, I'm sure many of you can tell, I'm publishing this video late. I'm also covering it late, and I apologize. I've said many times I'm in a catch-up phase of all of my content. There's so many pictures I've wanted to consult for a while. Nobody, I've wanted to offer a public opinion on it. Even though I will be forthcoming with you in saying that this is the case of some of the other videos I've filmed very recently, that I don't have the freshest of perspectives in comparison to maybe other works. And I've made the statement where it applies. I like to be as honest as I can up front. And I've said with other past projects, I've covered a lot in the last couple of years, though I'm behind in both the coverage and, namely, editing and publication. And Nobody was a movie that I did previously consult. Though, unfortunately, the original take that I've had in my hard drives just sitting there. Unfortunately, I'll clarify reasons why at a later date, as I will with any case I've made the statement before on. Unfortunately, the original recordings are inaccessible for me to go and edit and thus publish. So, I don't want to leave you hanging to dry, though, in saying that, I didn't consult this movie, in part because I want to be respectful of the films, again, that I personally engage with. It's also maybe a completionist mindset anywhere. I'm like, I initiated with the movie before. I want to finish it out. I just have a bit of a different path than some of us do in publishing this video. So again, I state this up front that maybe I'm a bit familiar with this project, even though probably in the time since I've forgotten things. So in some ways, it is a fresh look. But to be honest with you, it's technically not. But it'll be a good review for some of us. And maybe some of you haven't engaged with Nobody yet. Maybe probably a lot of you have. Again, I've heard from at least people who went to see this in the theaters that this got glowing attention. Again, not shocked in any way. But maybe some of you, again, because there's so much content available these days, you didn't have a chance to engage with it. Let's take that journey ourselves with 2 pieces of promotional material. I have both the trailer and this Super Bowl ad from whatever year it was. I think it was 2021, right? So that would have been, LV or LVI? I don't remember exactly. I know, I'm behind, and there's so much time that's passed. Anyway, let's take a look at Nobody first from the Red Band trailer. I forgot about that attribution. So it's been quite intense, again, like I said. Believably from the John Wick writer, I wouldn't expect anything less, and I'm hoping for a good experience. It's been teased for me as much. And from what I basically remember, which again, this is digging back a bit, I remember having a good impression. Let's have a revival of that, and for me, it'll be a reminder. And in truth, I'm actually, I say this, I'm fast-tracking the video, not really. I'm pressuring myself. I actually have the movie itself sitting. I went to the library very recently, picked up a copy. It's sitting upstairs. I'm going to watch it for myself, hopefully very soon. But I wanted to give you a first take, and that kind of spurred me on to be like, I should consult Nobody again and finally get my coverage up after belating it for a very long time. Obviously. Anybody can attest to that. I'll see when this is released. Okay. Here we go, though. For those of you who haven't engaged with Nobody yet, maybe this project kind of passed you by because there's so much cinema available these days and so much entertainment that's just craving for your viewership. Let's watch this together and engage with it. It's going to get me in the mood probably for John Wick as well to some degree. I'm hoping for that. I'm so excited for the new movie.
So they took maybe $20 and an old watch? Mr. Madsen, did you even take a swing?
No.
Could have taken her, Dad.
Heard you had some excitement last night. I wish they'd have picked my place, you know?
I need to take him out.
I'm not sure that would have worked.
Trying to keep the damage to a minimum.
I mean, that punch maybe, but not the neighbor. We gotta strengthen the wrist a bit at least.
Okay. There's a long dormant piece of me that so very badly wants out.
What are you still doing here, old man?
I'm gonna fuck you up.
That's a greeting. Well, promise is made, promise is kept. Good action choreography, it's believable. Especially that horizontal reverse elbow, whatever they call that. I took karate years ago, I forget the name of that move, but it was believable.
Dangerous people. Everybody get to the basement.
What is happening?
Don't call 911.
She's like, what? Who says that?
The last guy anyone wants to see at their door. Because it meant you didn't have long to live.
I like this more comedic take.
But I left it behind to start a family.
And the emphasis on, having a family, that is a bit... Well, I mean, there's that sentimentality of John Wick as well, but this does seem very distinct. Oh, I like that actor. It's specific.
And your creditor is aware of your resurrection.
Again, differentiate your franchises. This has an original presence.
They came after my family.
They stole my kitty cat bracelet.
And you don't fucking do that. Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet!
You look like Dad.
You should see the other guys.
See, it's just as good.
Who the f are you?
Me? I'm nobody.
Who allows a cat in an interrogation?
In theaters only February 26th.
I mean, again, like I say, I think it's trying to play in that comedic energy to give it some life beyond what John Wick has already established. And again, the John Wick films are great. I'm not speaking ill in any way, but you do want to make sure they're specific, especially among films that have the same baseline in genre, in feel, in probably the violence level. Although maybe they'll do a crossover between John Wick and Nobody. I mean, I don't know. I sense a vibe where they possibly could be. I mean, not everything, though. I'm not advocating for that. I actually like pictures to be distinct. I don't like the overall franchise emphasis these days. It's becoming too much. So I like projects to be split, but I'm like, if they were going to cross them over, the sentimentality of a story of John Wick and his dog versus, I believe, like I forget exactly what it was in the first entry, but there is that emotional approach. Here, it's a family, right? It's this guy that's in a bad situation of all these, I think like a mob or something. I forget exactly what they were, or the Russian crime boss. Okay, so it's kind of like mob, mafia. It's a similar situation, at least in the antagonism of the main character, different context. But I could see a sentimentality where John Wick could, maybe cross paths and be like, hey, I'm going to protect this family too. In the same way that he's shot everybody as an assassin. I mean, again, it's similar lives among both franchises, but distinguished enough and specific enough that they feel fresh to one another. Good first engaging trailer. Great construction. Again, like I said, the competence of what I've expected thus far, having been given 4 beautiful John Wick movies. Well, not yet 4, but close to. There's a professionalism that I see here exuded quite well. Derek Kolstad, I'm very impressed with his work. Is he directing this one too, or is it just a... no, that's Ilya Naishuler. I've not seen Ilya's work before. But I would believe... I'll look at his filmography later. I'm very impressed with Derek Kolstad's credits. Because again, I've had enough experience watching his work as a writer myself, probably not a screenwriter, but I know what illustrates a competent story, and I do believe his work is that. So that's the first trailer, though. I will wrap up with a small... We probably don't need to watch it, but it's similar. Either way, I'm excited to watch it. But some of these Super Bowl clips or spots, I mean, I hope that I hope they get stronger over time. I remember back looking on this, a couple years later, I guess in review. I hope the Super Bowl starts getting better with their marketing. I remember they've really stuck with spots over the last couple of years. I hope for some trailers. I mean, that was fun many years ago when they did that. Or at the very least, we get simultaneous debuts across the board online. But I'm sure for nobody, this will be, in 30 seconds, equally as energetic.
Hey, I have an idea. How about I make that lasagna that you love tonight? From scratch, like I used to.
You might have to take a rain check.
I used to work for some very dangerous people. They came after my family.
They stole my kitty cat bracelet.
And you don't do that. Give me the kitty cat bracelet.
Well, that's a much tamer ad for the general viewing TV audience.
Hell of a day.
See, they're really emphasizing the family vibe. Again, I think that's mainly to distinguish each project from one another. And that's good. I think that definitely has mass appeal when you go down that line. And how many people watching this, especially if you're a dad, for example, and you'd find yourself in the position of, well, maybe not necessarily the baggage that his character is carrying with him in terms of a backstory, but if you were imposed with a situation where someone came into your house, right, what would you do? It probably wouldn't be as comedic of a take. It'd probably be much more severe. I mean, we've all seen different types of home invasion type films. It's a very relatable theme, so I can imagine for many people in the audience who have families and are in that parenting role, that it would be resonant. So it feels like a very realistic experience, even if the story in itself is fictional. There's a connection point that I feel this movie emphasizes quite well. And presents, again, like I said, in every aspect, whether you want it to be a strong action thriller or you like that family vibe, you want more of that comedic edge, and that's what's more so appealing to you. I think it's dynamic in a number of ways, and Bob Odenkirk is a well-established name at this point. Derek Kolstad, again, love his talents in writing. I'm excited to watch Nobody for myself and have a adjacent John Wick experience. Not John Wick in principal focus, but still a nice holdover. And maybe an evolving franchise. I could sense that with the strength I've heard to this particular film in response. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below if you wish to disclose your perspective on it, whether you've seen the movie. No spoilers, please. Again, there's some of us who haven't seen it yet, including me. I know, I'm delayed. I'm working on it and getting caught up. That's a never-ending struggle, it seems. I'm making progress, though, slowly but surely. But for some of you who maybe haven't seen the movie yet either, and you haven't given it a consultation and this is your first perusing of it, what did you think about it? Again, like I said, I find it just as strong as John Wick. Different energy, different focus, but equally as fun and entertaining. I'm excited to watch it for myself. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.